Chris Van Vliet in Cleveland with Chris Jericho, and I might be the most overdressed person at any rock venue ever. What do you think?
I kind of thought you were kind of going punk rock with it, where like you're so anti-establishment that you're going to wear a suit to the rock club.
No, just sneaking out.
But then I saw like the perfectly coiffed hair and the
thank you.
manicured stubble on the chin. It's like, this is you, man.
Well, I was trying to, be like you, the perfectly coiffed hair and the stubble and all that other stuff.
You don't want to be like me, trust me.
I don't know.
The stubble is just from being too lazy to shave. It's not on purpose, trust me.
Well, we saw the tour bus outside. We also saw the line of people outside. I want to know for you, how similar is touring as a rock star similar to touring for the WWE?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of differences. When you're in a band, you tour all together on the bus. So everybody gets on the bus together. We leave at the same time. You watch a movie at night, you drink together. It's kind of a real, almost like a traveling summer camp.
Oh, nice.
With the WWE at this point, I basically just ride by myself. But you got to rent your own car. You drive from town to town. You got to find a hotel to sleep in. It's a lot more individual. Pros are that you get a little bit more space.
Sure.
So, it's kind of 6 of one, half dozen with another, but I actually prefer traveling with the band because it's just a lot easier. I get up in the morning, the tour manager tells me what to do, where to go, and that's basically it. All I have to worry about is the show. Whereas WWE, you got to worry about getting yourself around everywhere as well.
But I guess there are a lot of guys in WWE nowadays that are rolling around on a tour bus.
Yeah, it's kind of become the trend to do that, which to me seems a little bit extravagant. Like to me, it's almost kind of a status symbol more than anything. I would never do that because it's a lot of money for what,
Right.
3-hour drive usually all the time. It's not that far. But that's just me. Other guys, you pull up now, it looks like the Eagles are in town. There's like 7 buses. There's nowhere to park your cars. Like, where do I park my Taurus? There's like 18 tour buses here. Is Kid Rock in town? So that's kind of what's going on now there. But when I'm working there, I still like to drive myself around old school style.
That's old school style. That's also like indie style, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's not even really indie style. It's just
Indie style is piling 7 people in a car, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, even that when I first started in WCW, we had 6 guys in the car. Then went down to 5, 4, 3, 2, and then finally I was like, I can't handle it. I'll just do it myself. So yeah, it's you could be WWE World Champion. As a matter of fact, I was, and all the hotels were sold out in the town that we were in. I slept in my car that night.
No way.
Yeah, I mean, that happens sometimes.
What city was that in?
Possibly Spartanburg area, South Carolina, North Carolina, something like that. It might have also happened in Pensacola, Florida as well. A couple times it's happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you look at that line out there, there's a lot of Chris Jericho fans out there. Do people come to the show as Chris Jericho fans and leave as Fozzy fans?
Yeah, I mean, especially when we first started, there was a lot of people that liked the band because I was in it, and a lot of people that didn't like the band because I was in it. Thought that it was maybe some kind of a novelty thing or a vanity project. And over the years, with the shows that we do and the records that we put out and the fact that we're very passionate about what we do, people know this is the real deal. So there's still some people that come because they've heard so much about Fozzy over the years. What the hell is this Fozzy? We're finally going to go, and then they leave as fans, which is great because every band has some kind of a gimmick to get you in the door. I'm sure Kiss in 1974 with the makeup, people were probably laughing them out of the building, but their music was so good and the show was so great that it became iconic. It's the same thing with what we're doing with Fozzy. We started out in 2000, and now here we are in 2013, and there's a real good buzz about the band on a worldwide basis because people know this is real.
I feel like there's some crossover from the wrestling world into Fozzy and then Fozzy into the wrestling world. Is that pretty fair?
Yeah, I would almost even go one further. When I was a kid, I wanted to be in a band and I wanted to be a wrestler. I've been playing in bands since I was 12, so when I first started wrestling, I wanted to be the ultimate front man in the ring, like David Lee Roth or Paul Stanley, but in a wrestling capacity. So I took those traits, brought that into the ring. Then when we started Fozzy, took the traits that I had in the ring, put them into music. So it's all kind of reciprocal because it's all about connecting with the crowd.
Sure.
Whether you're on stage or whether you're wrestling or whatever, if you're a Shakespearean actor or Dancing with the Stars or whatever it may be, if you're in front of a live audience, you have to connect with them. That's the only way to get people to be interested in what you're doing. So that's a great trait to be able to have, and it's something very important to have as a frontman. You have to be the type of guy that the girls want to go on a date with and guys want to have a beer with. And if you can do that, it's just going to help the show and people have a better time, and that's the way it should be.
So is some of that crossover like the light-up jacket that you wear to the ring or the come on, baby?
I don't really know. It's just kind of all reciprocal, you know. The light up jackets definitely was a Kiss inspired thing, but I would never wear that on stage here because we're very cognizant of keeping the two entities separated. You know, this has never been a wrestling band. We've never sang about body slams and turnbuckles. You know, it's two completely separate things. So I try not to do like, oh, here's the lighted jacket guy. That's you know, so yeah, but it's all show business, man. You got to spend money to make money. That jacket costs more than my first house did. It's pretty expensive.
Are you serious?
Well, not quite that much, but yeah, pretty close, yeah.
So that jacket's like worth thousands and thousands?
Thousands and thousands, absolutely. Yeah. Actually, the second one cost me $15,000. So people go, where can we buy your jacket? I'm like, you might want to think twice about that.
Do you ever put it on in the back and go, crap, it's not turning on, or lights?
All the time. It happened to me at WrestleMania last year. I got the brand new one, 15 grand, and the whole side didn't even work. So I had to walk to the ring like this so people didn't notice. It happens all the time because they're prototypes. They're custom made. Nobody's ever had anything like it before, so the wires are very thin. If you open the back, it looks like, you know, like a nuclear warhead back there there's thousands and thousands of wires, and it's like a Christmas light. If one of the wires goes out, a whole stream of lights will go out, and you can't find which one is which. So yeah, they drive me crazy. And actually, the guy in the WWE who kind of is in charge of the props and stuff has helped me weld them back together, and he's sick of it too. He's probably happy that I'm not there anymore.
Speaking of WrestleMania, you've really picked your spots when you come back to WWE. And I'm not sure, do you pick your opponents as well? Because there's a lot of the guys that come back and just do a match or two, and it doesn't seem like they're willing to put people over. But at WrestleMania, you put Fandango over, and you seem to have no problem with that.
Well, I mean, it's my job. I mean, if I was an actor in a Spielberg movie and he said on page 10, you die, and I said, I don't think I should do that, then he'd say, get the hell out of here and we'll get another actor. And it's the same thing in WWE. If I'm going to be going back on part-time basis, which is basically the way it is for me now, I just go back according to what we're doing with Fozzie. That's kind of the priority. So if Vince is going to allow me to come back for 2 months, who am I to say no to anything that he wants me to do? And it's kind of it's a fun thing for me to go there and work with some of the younger guys, and you know, I'm kind of bulletproof, so I could lose to pretty much everybody, and it doesn't really make a difference, you know. So, but you know, if I had my way, I'd win every match. It's not like I'm going in there and choosing, I must be the guy that puts guys over. Screw that, I want to win. But if Vince says you're not winning, then I don't.
But there are guys that come back, like Brock Lesnar comes to mind, The Rock comes to mind, or Triple H when he wrestles on occasion, that they don't seem like they're willing to put over mid-card guys.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I can't speak for them. I just speak for myself, and it's kind of at this stage of my career, whether I wrestle one more time or wrestle 1,000 more times, you know, I'm at the other end of it. You know, you got to kind of pass the torch and keep the sport going, keep the show going, and help build up some of the younger guys. So if I can give them some experience or help them, I don't care about winning or losing. I just care about having the best match on the show.
But you're still in such incredible shape. I feel like you still have years and years of matches left in you.
Yeah, I mean, I came back earlier this year in 2013, and I think it was one of the best runs I've ever had. It just seemed like every match got better than the last, which was great. It was just I was in a zone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I probably could, but like I said, we're just so busy with what's going on with Fozzie now. It's kind of the priority. So I'll probably go back, but I have no plans right now of doing so. But when I do, you know, I'll have to make sure that I can stay at the level that I feel, the bar that I feel that I've set for myself. And the day that I feel I can't do that anymore, I will never come back in the ring again. But as of right now, I feel like I'm better than ever. So we'll see.
I feel with John Cena out, they could really use a guy like Chris Jericho to be around.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, Cena's out and Sheamus is out, and but you know, like I said, we've done 17 countries on the Fozzie tour for Sin and Bones, and you know, we just keep getting more and more bookings and more fans and more buzz about us. So, you know, WWE will survive without me just fine, I'm sure.
Is there anything in the WWE that you would like to accomplish that you haven't accomplished yet?
Honestly, no. I've done everything that I could ever want to do. It's funny.
That's what I thought the answer would be.
Yeah. I mean, if you would have asked me this question 5 years ago, I would have said, yeah, I want to do this, this, and this. But kind of over the last few years, all of that's come to fruition. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, if I never wrestled again, I would have no regrets. But hopefully that's not the case.
On Monday, we had Daniel Bryan into the studio. At the time, he was the champion before what happened, you know, later on Raw that night. I feel like you kind of paved the way for him being the first Undisputed Champion, a similar-ish size to him. You think that's a fair assessment?
Well, I mean, there's always, I mean, in the early 90s, it kind of started that way where the smaller guys, quote-unquote, became the stars of the show because they're more exciting, more entertaining. I mean, when I first started wrestling, it was all about the big giants and the big tall guys, and the only way that I could make a difference. I would never be the biggest guy in the show, but I could have the biggest personality and the biggest charisma, the biggest character. So I always focused on that, still do. So, but it was cool to be able to go to Japan and Mexico and Europe and some of these other places where size didn't matter as much. And that's kind of, it permeated into the WWE with, you know, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels and guys like that. So am I the pioneer for Daniel Bryan? No, but he's definitely another in a long line of amazing talents that aren't really the prototypical WWE superstar. I mean, CM Punk isn't either. You know, those are probably the two best guys in the business right now, Punk and Daniel Bryan. I bet you Vince, when he first saw both of them, was like, no way. You said the same thing about me too, you know? So you just have to kind of work and prove your worth, and when you do that, size doesn't really matter.
Is there a lot of interaction when you're backstage with Vince, or is it someone that you don't speak with that frequently?
When you first get there, he's very intimidating, so it's kind of a little scary. But for me now, I'll go talk to him 2, 3, 4 times a day if I have to. Because he's told me before, if something happens in the ring that doesn't work or segment doesn't work and I don't talk to him about it first, he'll go, why don't you come talk to me? Oh, you're too busy, I just want to leave you alone. Don't ever leave me alone, you know? So I have a great relationship with him. I love working for him. He's taught me a lot. He's a great guy. I can't say enough about Vince McMahon, how much fun I have being around that guy.
Right now in wrestling, you mentioned CM Punk. He calls himself the best in the world. You call yourself the best at what I do.
Best in the world at what I do,
best
yeah.
in the world at what I do. You got back. Bret Hart said the best there is, best there was, best there will be. So
a lot of guys saying they're the best, right?
And then Austin Aries says he's the greatest man that ever lived. I feel like it's like all these people claiming to be the best. Is that just like I don't know. Is it like something that
a boast?
Yeah.
I think when you say that, I mean, I know when I started saying I'm the best in the world at what I do, which was before Punk did. That was in 2008 when I was really hated heel, doing the thing, a storyline with Shawn Michaels that was just amazing. To me, it's one of the best angles in WWE history. And I really believed on certain nights I was the best in the world, you know? So when I said it, I meant it. Not every night, but there's certain nights when I was on such a roll, like nobody can touch me right now. So I think if you're gonna say that and get it over, you have to believe it. So all the guys who are saying it, I'm sure believe it. And I'm not really familiar with Austin Aries. I haven't seen too much of his stuff, but I'm going to assume that he's probably pretty good if he's calling himself that, even if it's a heel boast. But, you know, Punk saying it on certain nights, he is. I think Daniel Bryan even used to say it before he came to the WWE. I'm sure Bret Hart believed it when he was saying it too, because, you know, certain nights he was. So it's a pretty grandiose statement to make. But if you're saying it, there has to be some truth behind it. I know there was for me.
Well, those are statements, but a fact is that you were the first ever Undisputed Champion. And can you take me back to that? When did you find out that you were going to beat both Rock and Austin in the same night?
About an hour before the show, basically. Like, I'd heard rumors about it, but didn't really know for sure. And then Vince kind of was like, Undertaker, look, we're putting Jericho over tonight. The business is in the toilet. And that was basically how I found out. I was like, okay, well, this must be happening. So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't as overblown and glory filled as you might think, but it was definitely, it was kind of like winning an Oscar or something like that. You know what I mean? To get that accolade, first ever. You know, no one can ever take that away. Beating those guys in the same night, it definitely was. I wasn't as good in 2001 when I did that as I was in 2008 and 2009, 2010, and now. But at the time, it was a pretty big step forward.
Did you hear any of these rumors, or did you get involved in any of these rumors about the August 1st warning? Like, your name was being thrown around like crazy in TNA.
Yeah, I didn't. You know, I hear about stuff on Twitter and Facebook and stuff. But the thing is, I think even earlier you said, you know, what happened with Daniel Bryan. Like, I have no idea. Like, when I'm not, I mean, I'll follow it online, but when I'm not there, I don't watch because I don't really have time. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of fans just think that, you know, if I'm not on the show, I'm watching it and studying it and waiting. And it's not like that. There's so much stuff going on with other things that I'm doing that I really don't have time. But I still kind of know what's going on. I know who's doing what and what's going on. But, you know, so yeah, it's not like I'm analyzing every show and all that sort of stuff. I forgot what your question was even.
It was if...
Do you remember?
It was about TNA and if you actually...
Yeah, so I heard about the TNA thing, but yeah, I mean, it's always cool if they're going to mention my name, go for it. Free publicity, right?
I saw an interview with you earlier in the week, and you said something really interesting. You said that being on stage with Fozzie is more of a workout than being in the ring.
Yeah, I mean, it can be. I mean, obviously the ring is more impactful, but if you're having let's say a 30-minute match, there's an ebb and flow to it. With Fozzie, from song one to whenever we finish, it's all on high intensity every single night. We're drenched in sweat afterwards, like I just jumped into a swimming pool. It's part of our show. You know, we don't have dragons flying from the ceiling or bombs going off. We are the show, and we take great pride in that. It's a very energetic show. It's a very, we demand a lot of crowd participation, and we get it. And I think that's one of the reasons why we've developed a reputation as a very entertaining live band that you'll actually have fun going to see. And fun sometimes is like a taboo word in rock and roll, but we want people to have fun because that's what it's all about.
Where would you say is your biggest fan following?
Well, the record sales is definitely the States.
Yeah.
Concert attendance probably the UK because we've been touring there non-stop since 2004. But that's why this tour for us with Saxon is so big, because we toured last summer with Shinedown across the States. It was our first full-blown US tour. We wanted to do another one because Sin and Bones was doing so well for us. The Saxon tour was perfect. So it's coast to coast, you know, hitting all the clubs. Some House of Blueses, some, you know, closets, and it doesn't matter because you're still building your fan base. So, you know, like I said, America is huge for us, but for actual, probably the UK.
And when does this tour all wrap up for you?
This one ends October 18th.
And then what?
And then we go back to Australia, which is another big territory for us. We're heading back there in December. And then we've already started working on a new record to put out for next summer so we can do it all over again. We've got a lot of momentum now, and it's like we've got our foot in the door, and now you want to kick the damn thing wide open, so you got to keep it going.
How do you find time to sleep with all this?
I rarely sleep. And when we have a day off, I fly home to hang out with my kids, so it's a pretty busy life, and plus I'm writing my third book too, so when I'm not doing this or, you know, all the other things I have to do, I got to go sit in a corner for 3-4 hours and write on top of that. So yeah, it's pretty busy, and one of these days I'm probably going to explode into a pile of dust, but until then, just keep it rolling, man.
Before we wrap this up, you've had so many great one-liners, so many great promos. What's your favorite of all time?
It's hard for me to do that because all of them in some way or another I enjoyed. And some, like we talked earlier about the I'm from Winnipeg, you idiot. You know, you know, I was outside the ring throwing a guy in the ring, and someone said, "Go back to Toronto," and I was just writing about this in my book, and I said, "I'm from Winnipeg, you idiot." And it was more like, A, I'm not from Toronto, that pissed me off, and B, it's like that's the worst insult. Like, go back to Toronto. So we're not like we're like at war. It's not like I'm a you know, an Iraqi sympathetic. You know, like I'm not like a Taliban or something. It's like, come back to Toronto. We're in Washington D.C. Like, that's stupid. But that one just. People love that. It was like all over the place. But I think probably the Man of 1,004 Holes is the one that a lot of people talk about.
Of course.
And that one was pretty legendary for you know, for the stuff that I've done.
Was that your idea?
It was actually Disco Inferno's idea.
No way.
Yeah, he came up with that, and I mean I wrote the thing, but it was his idea to do it. So that's probably the one that stands out the most, but there's been so many of them. I mean,
another one of my favorites is the insanely expensive Geratron 5000.
Yeah. And that's just stuff I just made up on the spot, just bored, you know. Yeah, there's been a lot of good ones. I mean, there's one with the dueling catchphrase that I had with Rock, where we were, you know, fighting back and forth with each other's catchphrases was a good one, and some of the boob jokes on Stephanie McMahon were great. It's funny because writing a book, I got to go back and watch some of the stuff that I've done. You forget.
Sure.
You know, you forget. Because you're working every week and one thing leads into another, and sometimes I'll go back and see something and it's like, man, that was really funny, or that was a really great match, but I have no recollection of really doing it. So it's, I guess, part of having a good body of work.
You know what else is good? When you call guys by their wrong name. Kirk Angel.
Yeah, that was kind of an early 2000 Jericho
That was
move,
good.
yeah.
That was good stuff.
It was funny because I did that, and then I kind of got rid of all that stuff and jettisoned all of the kind of Jericho trademarks when I became Evil Jericho in 2008, because I wanted to really change my character. And then I never really went back to some of those things. But yeah, for the time, it was funny.
You are an insanely busy guy, so I appreciate your time today, Chris.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Thank you so much.
Good
I know
job,
you're
dude.
going to rock out tonight.
All right, man.
All right.
For sure.
Thank
Thanks.
you.